last night I went to GASA's event, Self-Love and Black Relationships. GASA stands for Generational African American Students Association, and it was a part of their For the Culture February series celebrating Black History Month. We gathered to discuss the questions: what is Black self-love? How is it distorted by racism, colorism, and misogynoir? And how does Black love persist? Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine McCoy. I'm a senior at Harvard University studying molecular and cellular biology on the pre-med track with a secondary in African American studies and a citation in Spanish. I won't be able to tell you what it is that other students mentioned in this conversation because that would be a breach of privacy, and it would also violate the community norms that we all agreed to at the beginning of the conversation. So I'm going to tell you some of my thoughts about the answers to these questions. So what is Black self-love? I would define it as having an appreciation and a respect for your features and the rich cultural background that we have as being Black. And when I say features, I really just mean any physical manifestation of you being Black, because it's a look being Black, and it is a look that has range. So I'm not saying that there is one specific way to be Black. That is the opposite of what I'm saying. What I am saying is how you own your Blackness. It's how you own your look. The fact that Blackness is such a large umbrella term means that I can love my skin, Lupita Nyong'o can love her skin, and Zendaya can love her skin, and all of it can be beautiful at the same time. Blackness can also be represented in many ways other than skin tone. I just listed it as the first one because for me, and for many other Black people, it is the most obvious one when you look at us. It can also be represented in your lips, your nose, your eyes. When I wake up in the morning, I honestly just love my body for keeping me alive first and foremost, but also how it looks great while doing it. Then there is respect for our rich cultural background. It's also just in the name of the event that we went to, for the culture. Because when I think about the history of Black people in the United States, it typically starts with slavery. When you open your US history book in the 8th grade, that's the first time they start mentioning Black people. And then they mention it again for the civil rights movement. But when they do that, and I remember that we were enslaved people, but we were not slaves. And I think that's a very important distinction to remember when talking about African Americans and where our history started. It also didn't start in chains. There were many other things Black people were doing before arriving here in the United States. So despite the pain that usually comes when we're talking about the history of Black people in America, I know that we are a very strong people, and also that we create our own joy. I also want to take some time to talk about Black self-care, and I'm very specifically saying Black self-care because I do believe that there are some stressors that are exclusive to Black people, and those can range from microaggressions to overt violent racism. I want to ask you, how often do you look at yourself? And I mean really look at yourself. I am thinking about my self-image and my confidence. And those are two things that I feel are paramount to having good Black self-care. You need to have a high self-image and a high confidence. And one of the things about this is it reminds me of Cut's video, 100 People Rank Their Own Attractiveness. You get to see people saying that they're a 1, that they're a 2, that they're a 3, all the way up to people saying that they're a 10. There are even people that say that they're 11s and 12s because they cannot be defined by the system. But you get to see how some people have very low self-confidence and some people have very high self-confidence. You hear one man say, "Oh, I'm a 10." And then when the director asks them why, he says, "What do you mean? Look at me." Like, that is the amount of confidence that I love to see. There's also one girl that says, "My girlfriend thinks I'm a 10, I think I'm a 10, I'm a 10. I personally know that if I was in that Cut video, I also would have said a 10 because I just feel it. Another thing that I feel is important is fighting health disparities. So a part of my self-care is making sure that I am taking care of my physical body. And I do that by running, even though I hate cardio. I do that by stretching, and I do that by lifting weights, because I am trying to take care of the vessel that I am going to have, hopefully for the next 80 years, because I'm trying to live to be 102. But self-care is not just emotional, it's not just mental, it's also physical. And I feel like that's something that needs to be said. Going off of that mental aspect, I make sure that I guard my mind from things that would cause it harm. So I am filling my music, I'm filling my movies, my TV shows that I watch with things that are going to be positive content and that are going to leave me feeling uplifted after I watch it. If I'm taking an example, music. I don't want to listen to music or be singing lyrics that after the song ends, I'm left there asking, well, why am I okay with hearing it in a song, but if someone said that to me in real life, we would be throwing hands. That is not what I want when I am filling my mind with media. I want to fill it with media that is going to be positive and aligns with my morals and values, specifically about myself. It is sad to say, but on top of that, guarding from causing harm, Black people do have to consider guarding their body from people who would want to cause it physical harm. I remember seeing a picture about how the talk means different things for Black families and white families. For white families, it's about the birds and the bees, but for Black families, it's about police brutality, how it is that you should act when you get pulled over, if you get pulled over by the cops. That way you can come home safe at the end of the night. Those kinds of conversations that Black children really are forced to have with their parents, that parents on the other end of it are forced to have with their children, is a part of Black self-care that can at the same time be a little bit traumatizing in the way that you view the world, because those lessons do keep you safe. They are meant to protect you from the implicit biases and the snap reactions that can be made by other people, other entities with power. But at the same time, it is making you see the world with a different lens, one that is not as rosy as you start growing older. And I feel like that's something that does need to be mentioned, because it is not a good part of growing up as a Black person, but it is a necessary part of growing up in order to make sure that you are taking care of your physical body. How is Black self-love distorted by racism, colorism, and misogynoir? Racism is discrimination based on race. Colorism is discrimination within a racial group against members of a darker shade. Misogynoir means misogyny directed towards Black women, where race and gender both play roles in bias. This word was made in 2010 by the queer Black feminist Moya Bailey, and she made it with reference to the way that Black women were being portrayed and treated in the hip-hop industry. In my opinion, racism can spark a lot of self-hate in a person, and that can take many forms. It can affect your self-image, your confidence, and that ultimately is going to affect your performance, how you move through the world, the way in which you stand up for yourself or decide not to stand up for yourself when adversities come your way. Colorism is going to fuel the light skin versus dark skin rift that exists within the Black community. And this, although in general, on average, when you look at it from the outside of the Black community, there is light skin privilege. And that's my opinion. I feel like many people would also agree with that, but there is light skin privilege because it is preference for a lighter shade, discrimination against a darker shade. But there are still negatives to both light skin and dark skin that come out of this thing that exists within the Black community. Light skins might be called Oreo. They might not be seen as a full Black person, or they might be fetishized because of the way that they look being light skin. Whereas dark skins on the other side of it are going to be stereotyped as aggressive, angry, loud, violent, and sometimes, but that's more for dark-skinned black men. And misogynoir is basically the melding of racism and sexism for black women. It is taking the two strikes that we have by being black and women. So if a black woman experiences some sort of discrimination event in her life, she might be left there asking, okay, was that because I'm black? Was that because I'm a woman? Or is that because I'm black and a woman? So we didn't talk about this question at all during the event, and I just wanted to make sure that I got my thoughts out about how racism, colorism, and misogynoir can affect black love. Because as a black woman, and specifically relating to misogynoir, there are a lot of barriers that exist for black women to love themselves. And they can be seen in the beauty industry. They can be seen in movies and TV shows. The fact that someone who looks like me or darker may not be seeing themselves as the lead or the romantic interest, and even Zendaya has said this, she is Hollywood's respectable or acceptable black girl. So those are some things that I just feel need to be said about misogynoir and living as a black woman in America. How does black love persist? I am so thankful that my parents have shown me what a positive, healthy black love relationship looks like. It is disgusting watching them be all lovey-dovey, but at the same time, it's like, oh, I can't wait until that's me one day. And then here I am sitting at home. Valentine's Day is coming up, and they can't stop reminding me that usually they would be alone for this, but now I'm here because of COVID. They cannot stop reminding me that I am crashing their party. So besides that, living and seeing their relationship as I've grown, my mom, she would sometimes lean over and say, this is what a good man does, as my dad is opening the door for us while the family is going to have dinner together. There would also be moments where maybe we're watching a TV show and the male character is not treating his girlfriend correctly or well. She will say, that's not what a good man does. So being able to receive those lessons of this is what a good man does, this is not what a good man does, I feel is very important to how I grew up and think about relationships now that I'm older, now that I'm 21, because I was able to see what a healthy love life should be. All I can say is that when it comes to black love relationships, I am thankful that my mom and dad have a very lovey-dovey, healthy relationship that I have been able to watch over the past 21 years in order to inform how I want my love life to look like one day in the future. And that is everything I have to say. Some of it I did say in the event, some of it I was not able to say in the event because we started going on a bunch of different detours, but I really liked it. And next week they're having a talk about the N-word. And I have a bunch of thoughts about the N-word. So I'm also going to be going to that one. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.